Hello, everyone. Today, I'm introducing the second build for the moblade. In this video, I will guide you through how to utilize the moblade with the Exquisite Scenery Rank 4 innerway and guard mechanics. Before we dive into the guide, there is something I must emphasize to all of you. Firstly, my moblade guide is neither an absolute rule nor the ultimate truth. I am simply sharing how I enjoy where winds meet with the moblade. Therefore, this guide video is for reference only. In your actual gameplay, you are free to enjoy where winds meet according to your own unique style. Secondly, in my previous guide, I introduced a setup that did not use the Exquisite Scenery innerway. However, I have received a massive number of requests to feature a build utilizing Exquisite Scenery. I assume the reason for this is the expectation that using Exquisite Scenery, which is the moblade's main innerway, will lead to a huge increase in the moblade's DPS. Isn't that right? But let me be clear, Exquisite Scenery is merely a supportive tool. Using Exquisite Scenery Rank 4 does not guarantee a massive DPS increase. In fact, if your proficiency with the moblade is low, your DPS may even decrease. I will explain the reason for this later in the video. Therefore, both using and not using the Exquisite Scenery innerway can be the right answer. I believe that enjoying the game by fixating on the most efficient or the definitive answer is not ideal. Where winds meet, much like the name suggests, should be enjoyed freely, like the winds. I apologize for the long introduction. Now, let's begin the moblade guide utilizing Exquisite Scenery. First, let's talk about which equipment set to wear. We will equip the Ivorybloom Set for the weapon set. Its base stats increase critical rate by about 4%. Furthermore, when your HP is at 100%, critical rate is boosted by an additional 5%, and critical damage increases by 15%. Please remember that the critical rate stat is the most crucial option for the moblade weapon. However, the Ivorybloom Set's bonus effect only activates when your HP is at 100%. This is a very challenging condition. How do we meet this condition? It's simple. We must absorb monster attacks as much as possible while the moblade's Predator's shield buff is active. To absorb monster attacks effectively, you must actively utilize Guard and Parry. In the process of using Guard and Parry, you will naturally be able to utilize Exquisite Scenery as well. In essence, the Ivorybloom Set, Exquisite Scenery, and Guard are closely interconnected and create a powerful synergy. For the armor set, we will use the Whirlsnow Set. Frankly, this is a choice made out of necessity. In reality, the Flawless Defense Set or the Eagle Rise Set, which have damage reduction options, offer better performance. However, when we open the tier path chest in the game, we acquire the Ivorybloom Set and the Whirlsnow Set together. We must roll the critical rate option on 8 pieces of the acquired gear. This is a very important but difficult task. In that context, the Whirlsnow Set, which is acquired from the same chest as the Ivorybloom Set, offers an advantage. If you manage to complete the Ivorybloom Set early, successfully roll the critical rate option quickly, and have enough energy, then by all means, equip the Flawless Defense Set or the Eagle Rise Set. But trust me, this won't be easy. It's incredibly difficult to get the desired options on your gear. Next, I will explain the inner ways. First, we use Morale Chant, which universally boosts Morale Chant damage. Pay attention to the rank 5 effect of Morale Chant. It increases critical rate by 4.6%. I've been continuously emphasizing the importance of the critical rate option for the moblade, haven't I? Morale Chant is the easiest inner way to obtain while farming inner way notes, and it is universally applicable to all weapon combinations. Moreover, even healers can use it. It is an efficient inner way with 0 drawbacks and a multitude of advantages. Next is Exquisite Scenery. At rank 4, successfully guarding an attack instantly triggers a stage 3 charge attack. It has a 5-second cooldown. Maintaining 100% HP is essential to activate the Ivorybloom Set's bonus effect, and this absolutely requires the process of guarding monster attacks. And through that process, the Exquisite Scenery effect is naturally triggered. This inner way truly brings to mind the saying, defense is the best offense. Next is Art of Resistance. This increases the duration of Predator's shield by 4 seconds and boosts the damage absorption of Predator's shield by 10%. This inner way is also essential for activating the Ivorybloom Set's bonus effect. And please note the rank 2 effect, it increases critical rate by 3.5%. I think you all understand by now, without me having to repeat it, why the critical rate option is important for the moblade. Lastly, Battle Anthem. Simply put, it increases charge damage by 10%. The moblade serves its DPS role primarily through its charge attack. Now, let's explain the Mythic Skills. The top priority is Golden Body. This skill provides an additional shield on top of the moblade's Predator's shield. Golden Body is extremely helpful for maintaining 100% HP, which is required for the Ivorybloom Set's bonus effect. It also grants the Super Armor status for 8 seconds, making it excellent for positioning. At rank 4, Golden Body's vitality cost is reduced by 10. Besides Golden Body, we use Cloud Steps to quickly pursue boss monsters, and Meridian Touch to handle specific dungeon mechanics. We do not use DPS Mythic Skills. This is because there is currently no DPS Mythic skill that is stronger than the moblade's charge attack. Therefore, using a DPS Mythic skill can actually result in a DPS loss. However, in situations where using a charge attack is difficult, you may utilize Dragon's Breath or Drunken Poet. Finally, I recommend utilizing Serene Breeze. This skill is primarily used for escaping tricky situations in PvP, but it is surprisingly useful in PvE as well. When you are knocked down, knocked back, or sent flying by a monster's attack, using Serene Breeze instantly restores you to a standing position. Don't forget to use Serene Breeze appropriately to maximize the number of charge attacks you can execute. Next is the explanation of the DPS rotation. First, I will show you the DPS rotation from the previous video's build.
Step 1. With a Stormbreaker Spear, use your Q skill and then the tilde symbol skill in that order. After that, hold down the R key for about 2 seconds to perform a charged attack. Step 2. Press TB to swap to the Thundercry blade and immediately use your Q skill. This action grants you a powerful buff, a sturdy shield, and a 30% increase in charge damage. Step 3. Finally, hold down the R key with the Thundercry blade to unleash a fully charged level 3 attack for a devastating hit. And here is the most important part. The exact moment your blade slams into the ground during that level 3 charge, quickly tap the parry button. This cancels the post-attack animation delay instantly. This technique is the key secret to unlocking explosive DPS with the Thundercry blade. Repeat this level 3 charge attack 3 to 4 times. Once you are done, swap back to the Stormbreaker Spear and start over from the first step. That is the entire DPS rotation. It's really easy to pick up. Just spend 10 to 20 minutes practicing, and you can take this straight into actual battle.
Yes, very good. I mentioned at the beginning of the video that if your moblade proficiency is low, your DPS may drop compared to the previous build. The build utilizing Guard and Exquisite Scenery does not have a set DPS rotation. This is because you must match the rhythm and timing of the boss's exact attack patterns and use Charge Attack and Guard appropriately. In the previous guide, you could successfully output DPS simply by repeating a fixed DPS rotation, regardless of the boss monster's patterns. But this time is different. You must react and adapt to the boss's patterns. However, there are a few rules. The fixed rotation of using Stormbreaker Roar, Thunder Shock, and Charge Attack with the Stormbreaker Spear, and then swapping to the moblade to use Predator's Shield, remains the same. And, when you trigger a charge attack with Exquisite Scenery, the next attack must always be a Stage 3 charge attack. This is because of Exquisite Scenery's 5-second cooldown. You must immediately cancel the motion delay of all charge attacks using the parry key. This is a technique you will see very frequently in my YouTube videos. Let me show you a practical example. First, I will show you a sequence utilizing Exquisite Scenery, and then I will explain it in detail, step by step. Okay, let's look at it again. This is the Void King's Shockwave attack pattern. This attack pattern occurs consecutively. Therefore, I guarded the first hit of the Shockwave to activate the Exquisite Scenery effect, and then I parried all subsequent hits to absorb the impact. Since the Shockwave attack pattern is over, I immediately activate the charge attack utilizing Exquisite Scenery. And I follow the rule I mentioned above. After activating the Exquisite Scenery charge attack, the next attack is always a Stage 3 charge attack. Now, the next attack is crucial. I did not use a Stage 3 charge attack here, I used a Stage 2 charge attack. Why? Because I anticipate the timing of the Void King's next attack pattern, I execute only a Stage 2 charge attack and then immediately guard to trigger the Exquisite Scenery effect once more. And again, I follow the rule. After activating the Exquisite Scenery charge attack, the next attack is always a Stage 3 charge attack. In this manner, the moblade output an explosive DPS of 80,000 in about 15 seconds. It looks incredibly difficult, right? But this is just one of many spontaneous situations. Since the attack patterns, rhythm, and timing are different for every dungeon and every boss, the player's proficiency in handling the MO blade is extremely important. That's why I said at the beginning of the video, if your MO blade proficiency is low, your DPS may even decrease. This is precisely why I introduced the build that does not use Exquisite Scenery in the previous video guide. The previous guide's method is easy for beginners to follow immediately, has fewer variables, and is more stable. So, there will be times when you need to use a stage 3 charge attack, times when you need to use the follow-up attack after a stage 3 charge attack, and times when you can only use a stage 2 charge attack. This all depends on the situation. It absolutely cannot be formalized into a strict rotation. If you become too fixated on Exquisite Scenery and needlessly maintain guard, your DPS will actually decrease. You should use the charge attack when the boss is standing still, and you must use guard when the boss attacks. This requires a certain level of player proficiency. Please clearly keep this in mind. If you use guard just to activate Exquisite Scenery when you don't actually need to use guard, a DPS loss will occur. Do not be obsessed with Exquisite Scenery, use it as a supportive tool. While Exquisite Scenery certainly raises the high-end potential of the MO blade, you must clearly remember that it also lowers its floor potential. Now, let me show you another example. This time, it's the widely known boss, Yimanshan, in the level 61 sword trial environment. Now, let's all think. What are the characteristics of Yimanshan? His normal attack patterns are very slow. Also, his special attack patterns require parry, not guard. Therefore, in this situation, using guard would actually cause a DPS loss. So, in this case, I will not activate Exquisite Scenery, I will only execute my normal charge attack. There are 3 things you should focus on. First, did I correctly execute the dungeon mechanic? Did I quickly kill the soldiers without letting them explode? Second, during the charge attack, did I maintain 100% HP to perform a stable tank roll while activating the Ivorybloom Set bonus effect? Third, did the MO blade output an explosive DPS? Please focus on these 3 points. The 3 conditions I just mentioned encapsulate everything about a proficient MO blade player. I quickly killed the soldiers to prevent the explosion. These special attack patterns require parry, not guard. You see? Even without using Exquisite Scenery, I successfully performed both the DPS and tank rolls simultaneously. I emphasize to you once again, do not be obsessed with Exquisite Scenery. It should be used as a supportive tool. Now, let's briefly summarize this video. Summary: we maximize the character's critical rate through the Ivorybloom Set, equipment, and inner ways. Specifically, to receive the Ivorybloom Set's bonus effect of 5% critical rate and 15% critical damage, you must maintain 100% HP. In this process, Guard, Exquisite Scenery, Golden Body, and Predator's Shield are utilized. However, the most crucial factor is knowing the boss's attack patterns and timing. This is most heavily influenced by the player's proficiency. If the dungeon environment allows you to maintain 100% HP easily, it is more advantageous not to use Exquisite Scenery and Guard. Even with Exquisite Scenery, the DPS does not dramatically increase. However, the stability increases significantly. The DPS of the build utilizing Exquisite Scenery and Guard is determined by the player's proficiency. This is because you must match the rhythm and timing of the boss's exact attack patterns and use charge attack and guard appropriately. Do not be obsessed with Exquisite Scenery. If you needlessly maintain guard, your DPS will actually decrease. You should use the charge attack when the boss is standing still, and you must use guard when the boss attacks. This requires a high level of player proficiency. So, what will I do? I will maintain all the settings mentioned in this video, but I will only use exquisite scenery in special environments where maintaining 100% HP is difficult. Otherwise, I will use adaptive steel instead of exquisite scenery to gain the 20% critical damage boost. This is simply because I believe utilizing parry and dodge is more advantageous for absorbing damage than relying on guard. This is just my personal play preference, and you are free to actively use guard in exquisite scenery. What the right answer is does not matter. The most important thing is that you enjoy playing the game. And no matter which approach you take, the moblade is always an undeniably powerful weapon. That concludes the video I prepared. Thank you so much for watching. Also, subscribing and liking on YouTube are a huge encouragement for me. Thank you again.